The two hedgehogs fly up towards the falling space colony. The Ark is falling towards the planet like a meteorite. Both heroes know that if they don't stop the Ark now, it's all over. For everyone. The two jettison towards the Ark and enunciate the words, Chaos Control. A ball of energy erupts from their hands like a spirit bomb, engulfing the Ark, warping it back to a safe distance. The blast sends the two hedgehogs in opposite directions. Sonic begins to recompose himself and catches his breath. We did it, Shadow. Shadow? It's only then Sonic sees Shadow drifting towards the planet several yards away. Sonic knows that they're both burning on fumes. Any moment now, their super forms could end. Only one of them is making it back to the Ark. He doesn't want to leave his friends, not like this. But Shadow, he's never even had a chance to experience life. So as he always does, Sonic puts the needs of others before his own. Sonic raises his hands, condensing all the energy he has left into one concise ball of chaos energy. Without a second's notice, Sonic fires the orb towards Shadow. Within moments, Sonic's dark doppelganger disappears, warping back to the space colony. Sonic looked down at the Earth, and then he looked back at the colony. He smiled. Even if this is how he had to go, at least he got to be a hero one last time. Using whatever strength he has left, Sonic musters up the words, Sayonara, everyone. With that, Sonic's eyes grew weary, and he fell towards the Earth, his superform ending, and Sonic burning up on re-entry. Aboard the Ark, the heroes, and Dr. Eggman, waited in breathless anticipation for the heroes of the hour to walk through the doors. However, when Shadow was the only one who returned, they all silently knew what had happened, even if they wished it hadn't been so. Tails was the one who plucked up the courage to ask what was on everyone's mind. Where's Sonic? Shadow simply returned a mournful glance. The heroes each mourned the blue hedgehog's death in their own way. Amy began to bawl her eyes out. Tails tried to comfort his friend, but the entire time, he was holding back tears of his own. Knuckles' sadness turned to rage, first out of regret, feeling that maybe if he had used the emeralds, Sonic would have still been here. Then that rage turned against Shadow. Why wasn't it you? It was because of you and that crazy professor that we were even in this mess. Knuckles put up his fists, ready to fight Shadow. Tails yelled at Knuckles, trying to get him to stop, but his words went in one ear and out the other. Well, aren't you gonna say anything? Shadow finally spoke up. You're right. It should have been me. It was from there the tension gradually began to calm down. That's when everyone realized Dr. Eggman had left. Seeing the emotional and vulnerable state the heroes were in, the doctor had taken the chance to get away unnoticed. Shadow cursed under his breath before walking away towards the nearest escape pod. Rouge followed close behind. What's your plan, Shadow? Through his actions, the Doctor robbed the world of its greatest hero. I intend to bring him to justice. You think you'll need any help? You don't have to. He's gotta have some treasure lying around in his bases. Before long, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy would return to Earth. Knuckles went back to his island to protect the Master Emerald. Tails vowed to continue protecting Earth, upholding the values Sonic once fought for. However, secretly Miles feared that he wouldn't be able to fill the shoes of Sonic. And finally, Amy, despite the heartache, would take up the values that Sonic once lived by, experiencing every day as a new adventure, and continuing to move forward. Several months had passed when Tails received a letter at his workshop. It was from Dr. Eggman? It stated that the Doctor planned on conquering the world in 3 days, and he challenged the two-tailed fox to try and stop him. Fearing that he wouldn't be able to do this alone, Tails flew off to Angel Island to find Knuckles. Elsewhere, at the house of Amy Rose, a newspaper was dropped off on her front porch. As she picked up the paper, the headline immediately caught her attention. It depicted Sonic, alive, and kidnapping Chocola and Froggy? Amy wasn't sure what to take of this, but whatever it was, she had to get to the bottom of it. She quickly ran out of her house, barely even having time to shut the door, and racing out to find some answers. The Tornado 2 soared through the air, en route to Angel Island. Its two-tailed pilot had received a message from Dr. Eggman, stating that he would conquer the world in 3 days. And to put a stop to his evil plans, Tails needed the help of Knuckles the Echidna. Although he had his hesitations about leaving the Master Emerald unguarded, Knuckles ultimately decided to help Tails. The pair quickly rocketed off of the flying island and headed off to stop Dr. Eggman. Elsewhere, Shadow and Rouge break into an Eggman base. This is the latest in a long line of bases they had destroyed trying to find the Doctor. Alright, Rouge, hack into the main computer, search for anything about the Doctor's whereabouts. I'll search the base and make sure he didn't leave any surprises for us. Whatever you say, handsome. The White Bat walked up to the main computer terminal and began accessing the files. Suddenly, her ears twitched as she heard a large clanking noise coming from behind her. She turned back to see a large, menacing machine staring at her with blood-red eyes. Targets locked. Obliterate. The machine began firing in all directions. Shadow appeared from his namesake, pushing Rouge aside and saving her from a barrage of bullets. Shadow began to fight back against the walking arsenal. However, Rouge could hear over the gunfire, noting that Omega wasn't aiming at Shadow, but at the Eggman technology behind him. Realizing what was going on, Rouge put an end to the chaos. Now finally having a chance to talk, the three began explaining their motivations. Shadow and Rouge wanted to find Dr. Eggman to bring him to justice, and to take whatever treasures he may have, and Omega was meant to be Eggman's greatest weapon. However, as of a few weeks ago, the Doctor had seemingly abandoned Omega. Feeling betrayed, the Walking Arsenal wanted revenge against his creator. Realizing that they all had a common enemy in the Doctor, they joined forces and became Team Dark. Meanwhile, Amy met up with Big and Cream at the warm and tropical beach zone. The pair confirmed to Amy that Froggy and Chocola had gone missing. Amy showed them the newspaper. They were just as shocked as Amy to see the seemingly deceased Sonic the Hedgehog stealing their pets. However, despite the shock, they needed to get to the bottom of this. So, with no time to lose, Team Rose set off to get to the bottom of this case. Speaking of case, Team Chaotix is also out there somewhere. Yeah, they're not really affected by Sonic being dead, but thought I should mention them. After racing through the Ocean Palace, Tails and Knuckles found the Egg Hawk, being piloted by Dr. Eggman. Tails remained in the Tornado 2, while Knuckles leaped out, ready to fight the Doctor hand-to-hand. So, you've made it this far. Gotta be honest, wasn't expecting that. Not after what happened to your blue savior. I assumed you two would just fall apart without him. The madman grinned at the heroes, clearly edging them on. Knuckles gritted his teeth. Give me a few seconds and I'll show you who falls apart, Eggman. Sonic might not be here, but we're still gonna put an end to your plans. With that, Miles quickly pressed a button, transforming the tornado into its battle mode. So, you wish to battle me with your little toys? Very well. Prepare yourself. The Egg Hawk suddenly blasted backwards, sending rockets firing out towards the tornado. Although it took some quick thinking and evasive maneuvers on Miles' part, he was easily able to dodge the blasts and return them with equal fire. The Cyclone weaved in and out of Eggman's attacks, taking out his turrets. and then Knuckles leaped onto the Egg Hawk itself, wrecking its armor. As the Egg Hawk began to combust, Eggman cursed these turns of events. "This isn't the end!" With that, the Doctor escaped in the Eggmobile. As the heroes celebrated their victory, they were unknowingly watched by the Doctor from a distance. However, the villain had transformed into his true state. Big surprise, it's Neo Metal Sonic. Yeah, I'm not even gonna pretend like you guys didn't see that coming. Lifeform data partially copied. More data required. From there, Neo Metal Sonic would continue his plot, setting the stage so that the heroes would come to stop the plans of Dr. Eggman so that he could collect their power. Before long, Tails and Knuckles make their way to Grand Metropolis, where they run into Team Rose. Tails questions Amy on what she's doing here, so far away from her home. The pink hedgehog energetically responds that there is a chance Sonic might be alive. She proceeds to show the pair the newspaper, exclaiming that if Sonic is out there, she'll find him. Tails was ecstatic at the prospect that his best friend might still be out there somewhere. Knuckles, however, was a bit more skeptical. Although he would love to be proven wrong, he didn't think anyone could survive that kind of fall. The Fox and the Echidna chase Eggman to Casino Park. Despite the colorful lights, loud noises, and addicting gambling games, Tails can't get the thought of Sonic out of his head. Eventually, Tails and Knuckles find Eggman at the heart of the casino. Knuckles squares up, prepared to fight Eggman once more, but Tails has a different response. "Eggman, what happened to Sonic?" "Huh? What are you blabbering on about?" "I thought he was dead, but Amy showed me a picture of him with Froggy and Chocola. Did you have something to do with this? Do you know what happened to him?" The Fox was clearly getting emotional at this point. Neo, still disguised as Eggman, put two and two together. He had disguised himself as Sonic so that he could enter the Chow Garden and steal Froggy and Chocola. He had used Sonic's form so that he could get into his section of the Chow Garden, but he hadn't known he had been spotted. Neo quickly came up with a response. "So what if I know what happened to your spiky blue friend? You'll never live to see him again." Believing the madman's lie, the heroes were in shock. This confirmed to them what Amy had said. Sonic was alive. "Oh, but don't worry. When I return to the fleet, I'll make sure Sonic knows you said hello." With that, the Doctor rocketed away, with Tails and Knuckles in hot pursuit. The pair tracked down Eggman to Rail Canyon and defeated him once more. However, when they inspected Dr. Eggman, they discovered that it was simply a dummy. Of course, this was all a distraction, a way to allow the madman to launch the Egg Fleet uninterrupted. Or at least that's how it seemed. As Knuckles and Tails ran off to follow the fleet, the Eggman dummy began to morph into Neo Metal Sonic. All lifeform data has been copied. As they follow the fleet to the Frog Forest, Knuckles and Tails run into Team Dark. Despite initial hostilities, mostly from Rouge and Omega, Knuckles and Tails tell the group about everything going on. About the Eggman fleet, about Sonic, everything. Rouge, and particularly Shadow, were hesitant to believe that Sonic was still alive, and Omega explained that he hadn't heard anything about him through the Eggnet. However, Shadow expressed that he would look into it. After all, Sonic saved his life, so if there's a chance he could return the favor, he will. Before leaving the forest, Knuckles and Tails come across a Chaos Emerald. From here, the last few acts play out similarly to the original game. Tails and Knuckles make their way onto the Egg Fleet and defeat the Egg Emperor. Team Rose arrive and retrieve their lost pets. They're so overjoyed to have them back that they hardly notice the Eggman robot dissipate into a liquid metal and slip away. As the groups begin to congratulate one another, Cream takes note of something in the distance.
Is that Mr. Sonic over there?
The young rabbit was right. Sonic was alive. He stood silently alone on the other side of the ship. Without a second thought, Amy runs out of the group, dashing towards the one she loves.
Sonic, I missed you so much.
Amy bawls as she attempts to grab Sonic, but when she does, he turns into a liquid metal, transforming into his true form. Your affection is misplaced, Ms. Rose, but your assessment is accurate. I am the real Sonic, now and forever. Amy leaped back in surprise at the metal monster in front of her. The rest of the heroes were just as shocked as her.
Metal Sonic? It's you?
Yes, Miles Prower. It was me all along. The Doctor, Sonic, me.
But that means Sonic really is?
Yes, sadly. I wish I could have been there, but if I can't destroy my lonesome copy, I'll have to settle for the world he's left behind.
But you said you had him.
I lied, as I have from the very beginning, but I must thank you, Miles Prower. Your desire to see your friend once more brought everyone together, so that I may copy their abilities and pave over this world. Combining all the data from the collective heroes with the power of chaos obtained from Chocola and Froggy, Metal Sonic became Metal Overlord. Team Chaotix and the true Dr. Eggman arrived just in time to see the transformation end. The Doctor began to ramble about how the world was doomed and that there was nothing they could do to stop Metal Overlord. However, for Tails, it all went in one ear and out the other. The twin-tailed fox had hoped to follow in the footsteps of his friend, nay, his brother, hoping to hold up the same ideals and heroism as Sonic once did. But now, the world was crumbling around him, and he felt as if he couldn't do anything to stop it. That sadness soon turned to rage against the machine flaunting Sonic's name. A slight humming noise came from the Chaos Emerald Knuckles held. In fact, a similar humming came from the rest of the heroes' emeralds. The emerald suddenly leaped out from the heroes and cycled around Miles at a hypnotic rate. The emeralds turned Miles' darkened thoughts into power as he emerged as Dark Tails. His orange fur was replaced with a darkened black. His pupils left with any restraint he still had. Tails looked up at the metallic faker staring down at them from on high and shot forward at light speed. Before Metal could even react, Tails had attacked him from several different angles. Metal lurched back, but Tails wasn't finished. He continued assaulting the monster from all different angles. He wouldn't let up. He wouldn't slow down until Metal was nothing but a smoldering ash of scrap. You don't deserve to bear his name. You don't deserve to call yourself the real Sonic. Metal had had enough of this. In a booming voice, he declared, Chaos Control! Metal Sonic had frozen time. Tails tried to move, but despite having the power of 7 powerful emeralds flowing through him, he couldn't lift a finger. You fail to understand, Miles Prower. I am the real Sonic, and you are nothing but a scared fox cub. And with one precise attack, Neo Metal Sonic struck down the fox, sending him to the Egg Fleet and bringing an end to his dark form. The emeralds were knocked out of the fox, but he could feel them around him. But yet he didn't have the strength to muster up another dark form. Neo Metal Sonic prepared to finish off the fox, but then he was attacked by several of the other heroes. His attention was diverted. As Tails stirred there on the ground, trying to get back up, Shadow and Knuckles walked up to him. The red echidna helped Tails to his feet.
I don't get it. I've thrown everything I got at Metal. Why can't I beat him?
Tails, I've spent my life with the Master Emerald. I understand chaos energy better than most. Metal Sonic is exerting negative chaos energy, so your dark form wouldn't do anything against him. I understand the desire for revenge, Tails. Trust me, I do. But fighting Metal Sonic with hate won't do anything.
You're right, but I don't think I can beat him alone.
Hey, you're not alone, kid. So let's show this creep what we're made of. Perfectly in sync, the three heroes put their hands together and let the power of the 7 emeralds flow through them. And then, in a flash of light, the trio emerged, each sporting their own super form. The three rocketed up towards Neo Metal Sonic, hoping to put an end to his scheme. Using a variety of supercharged attacks, including thunder shots, flaming knuckle punches, chaos spears, and light speed attacks, they began to weaken the monster's metal frame. Metal Sonic was persistent, not willing to go down without a fight. He threw everything he had at the heroes, even literally throwing a battleship at the three, but it was all in vain. As the battle reached its climax, the three supercharged heroes combined their powers into a triple boost, blasting right through Neo Metal Sonic's chest. The Metal Overlord began to sputter and spark. The machine let out a mournful cry as it collapsed to the ground. Metal Sonic never stood a chance. From this point, the events of Sonic Heroes come to a close similarly to how they did in the original game, with a few noteworthy changes. Metal Sonic didn't have the strength to return to the Egg Fleet after his defeat. He's likely still out there, but he'll definitely need a lot of time to recoup after a beating like that. Apart from that, Dr. Eggman had wisely decided to leave the Egg Fleet before the heroes returned. Tails thanked everyone for their help in saving the world. From there, one by one, the heroes split off. Shadow was about to set off with Team Dark to find Dr. Eggman, but he was stopped by Tails.
I wanted to thank you for your help, Shadow. You know, me, Knuckles, and Amy were starting this new group. We're thinking of calling it the Sonic Heroes. We'd be happy if you could join.
Shadow smiled at the young fox. Thanks, kid, but I think I need to do things on my own terms. Besides, I'm already part of a team. But if you need anything, I'll be in touch. Shadow handed Tails a small communicator that he had stolen from Dr. Eggman. Tails smiled. Although he wished that Shadow would have stayed with them, he understood that the ultimate life form had to follow his own path. You're a good kid, Tails. I think Sonic would be proud. And with that, Shadow raced off with Team Dark in tow. Weeks pass, and despite hunting down and destroying several Eggman bases, Team Dark isn't any closer to finding the obese Overlord as they were at the end of Sonic Heroes. Currently, the three members of the group had split up to attack different Eggman bases. After finding nothing of worth in Eggman's base outside Westopolis, Shadow began to reminisce about Sonic, Maria, and her wish. In a way, Sonic was more successful in achieving Maria's wish than Shadow had ever been. He lived free and without worry, improving the lives of everyone he met. Like Maria, Shadow felt that Sonic had imbued purpose onto Shadow's life in his death. Sonic, I'll watch over this world for you. I promise. With that, Shadow prepared to leave to hunt down the next Eggman base, when suddenly he could feel something in the wind. Something cold, unnatural. Shadow looked up and saw blood-red clouds engulf the sky. The unholy weather seemed to peak in the center of Westopolis, where suddenly black and red abominations began to shower from the heavens above. Shadow wasn't sure what was going on, but he wasn't going to leave the humans he swore to protect to these beasts.
But before the ultimate life form could run off to save the day, he heard an unfamiliar voice whisper his name.
Shadow.
He quickly turned on his heels to see one of the monsters, strongly resembling an octopus or starfish-like creature, staring at him with a single eye. The eye opened, revealing a hologram of a humanoid creature staring down at Shadow.
As you can see, the day of reckoning will soon be here. Find the 7 Chaos Emeralds and bring them to me, as promised.